Only problems happen automatically. Happiness is a choice we all have to make.
We have to start thinking about yoga as dimensions which has the tenets to offer us solutions to our global problems.
Isn't it said that anyone could find the dirt in others? Be the one that finds gold.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like 9 and 9. For my top 10, top 10, 9 and 9. This one's for my top 10.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and this channel was created to help you overcome the #1 challenge that is holding you back, a lack of belief in yourself. You watch these videos because you know there's something more inside you too. You have Michael Jordan level talent at something. So get ready to take charge of your mind, choose your surroundings, and choose to be happy with Gaur Gopal Das and my take on his top 10 rules of success to give you the confidence, motivation, and belief that you need. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Take charge of your mind.
Walking with lions casually can probably be easy when the lions are tamed, when we have experts who can deal with them around us and take charge of any untoward situation that may happen. Otherwise, we all know that the lion is an extremely powerful, strong, and a ferocious animal, and we dare not go close to a lion. But the same lion, with all its strength, power, ferocity, and influence as the king of the jungle, can be helplessly disturbed and frustrated. Any guesses? Who can frustrate a lion? A tiny little bird. Sometimes a bird may come and sit on the back of the lion, scratch it, tickle it, or pass on it, and to say nothing of driving away the bird, the lion cannot even reach it at times. And even if somehow the lion can reach it, the bird just flies away. Ladies and gentlemen, we as human beings have our power in the society that we live in as well. Our power comes from money, position, fame, influence, talent, skill. But just like the lion has that bird which can disturb him, we have that one bird which can leave us helpless, hopeless, sleepless, extremely frustrated and disturbed. That bird, which is our constant companion, is our mind. The greatest power in the world is not money or riches, position and influence. The greatest power in the world is our ability to take charge of our mind and focus it on and direct it to where we want it to be and not get directed by the mind. All mental health issues, depression, pressure, negativity, anxiety, stress, loneliness, worry, come from the inability to deal with the mind. Spirituality and meditation is that practice which helps us to take charge of the mind, to train it and be empowered to live a life which is peaceful, mindful and joyful.
Rule number 2, choose your surroundings.
You know what? A tortoise will withdraw its limbs when it feels intimidated, when it feels insecure, when it feels fearful of being attacked. But when the tortoise finds itself in a surrounding which is protected and secure, the tortoise will bring all of its limbs out. I think even in our relationships, when we feel the fear of being judged, the fear of being used, the fear of being rejected, we withdraw ourselves from people in our relationships, don't we?
Very true.
But when we feel protected, when we feel secure, when we feel ourselves in a surrounding and an environment where there is trust, where there is understanding, where we are treated with respect, when we are treated with love, That's when we bring ourselves fully out to connect to that person. We are happy confiding to them, we are happy to speak to them, we are happy to deeply connect with them. And I think that's really what makes a relationship really meaningful and happy, isn't it? So yes, a tortoise does teach us that we should look for those people in our relationships who can give us that surrounding, that we can bring out most of our
Bring the best out of
best
us.
out of us. And we should try and avoid those surroundings where we feel fearful of being judged, and being used, in which case we need to withdraw like the tortoise withdraws its limbs within its shell.
Rule number 3, accept people for their good side.
A friend of mine is a great cook. One day he was making a preparation from okra, also known as lady's finger in some parts of the world. I saw him wash and clean each of the okra pods with a lot of attention and affection. I guess because he loved cooking. To be honest, I was impressed with how sensitive he was, even in his dealings with vegetables. As he was expertly cutting the okra into equal sized pieces for his prep, he happened to see a hole in the top portion in one of the pods. Guessing that the particular pod was spoiled, I assumed that he would throw it away. Instead, with meticulous attention and precision, he removed the top portion from the pod using his knife, and after checking that the rest of the pod was fine, continued cutting it to be used for the delicacy he was about to prepare. I learned a very important lesson from this simple interaction. If there be a hole in one of the pods, some may, but many, especially here in India, will not reject the entire pod. They would carefully deal with the spoiled part by removing it and use the rest of the pod which is still in a perfect condition. If we don't even reject an okra pod entirely just because it has a hole in it, and an okra pod is probably only a few cents worth, should we reject people and our relationships which are priceless simply because of some faults that they may have? Don't human beings deserve similar or better treatment? Ladies and gentlemen, no human being is perfect and will most certainly have some defects and limitations. Let us learn to follow the okra principle in our relationships. Let us not brand people and reject them for their flaws. Let us accept them for their good side, and let us expertly and skillfully deal with their weaknesses, uplifting them and helping them to give their best. Isn't it said that anyone could find the dirt in others? Be the one that finds gold.
Rule number 4, choose to be happy.
A lady who was over 90 years old but had a great flair towards dressing up well, applying makeup and arranging her hair in beautiful patterns. She and her husband had been married to each other for 70 years. After the departure of her beloved partner, having no children and no one in the family to care for her, she decided to move to a nursing home. Even on the day when she vacated her home for good, she dressed up elegantly and looked gorgeous. After arriving at the nursing home, she had to wait patiently in the lobby for hours before her room was ready. When an attendant helped her make her way to the room, she gave the lady a visual description of the tiny space that she was meant to occupy. "I love it," the lady expressed with the enthusiasm of an 8-year-old who had just been presented with a new puppy. "Mrs. Jones, you haven't even seen the room yet. Just wait," the attendant remarked. Well, My joy has nothing to do with the room, the lady replied. Whether I like my room or not doesn't depend on how the furniture is arranged. It depends on how I arrange my mind. Happiness is something you can decide ahead of time. And I've already decided to love my room, to love the people around me, to love my life. It is a decision that I make every morning when I wake up. You know what? The greatest asset we all have is the power to choose how we feel. The lady continued speaking as the attendant listened attentively with her mouth wide open. I can spend my entire day in bed thinking of the pain I am in, focusing on those parts of my body that no longer work. Or I can get out of bed and be thankful for those parts that do work. Each day is a gift, and as long as my eyes can still open, I will continue to focus on today and all the happy memories I have stored in my mind just for this time in my life. The attendant was astounded by the positive attitude of the elderly lady, whose life from an external point of view was only full of problems and hopelessness. Ladies and gentlemen, only problems happen automatically. Happiness is a choice we all have to make. Only anger happens automatically. Peace is a choice we all have to make. Only hatred happens automatically. Love is a choice we all have to make. Being negative happens automatically. A positive attitude is a choice we all have to make. Complaining is automatic. Gratitude is a choice we all have to make. Choose right and live well.
Also, if you want to have more motivation, self-love, and confidence, check out my 254 series. They're free. The links to join are in the description below.
No one on planet Earth can stop you from accomplishing and achieving what you want. And whenever you're updating to a higher version of yourself, you have to be able to give the best of yourself to it. It's easy to make a buck, very hard to make a difference.
Rule number 5, learn from others.
Two guys graduated from university together and after a couple of months joined the same company. After 2 years, their manager promoted one of them, Rahul, to the position of a senior sales manager. But the other one, Jiten, remained in the same position as he had joined, a sales officer. Jiten felt hurt, disgruntled, and even felt jealous of Rahul. Since he needed the job, however, he continued working anyways. After a couple of months, Jiten's bitter feelings towards Rahul grew so much that he just could not work with him any longer. He wrote his resignation letter, but before he handed it over to the manager, he complained that the management did not value hard-working staff and that they promoted only the ones they favored. The manager was well aware that Jiten worked very hard for the company, even harder than Rahul, and thus he much deserved the promotion. But something was missing in Jiten. So to help Jiten, the manager gave him a task. Can you go and find out if there's anyone selling watermelons in town? Jiten returned and said, yes, there is a watermelon seller. The manager asked, how much is the selling price per kg? Jiten drove back to the town to find out and then returned to inform the manager that the vendor was selling the melons for 13 rupees and 50 paise per kg. The manager told Jiten, let's give Rahul the same task and see his response. So in the presence of Jiten, the manager said to Rahul, can you please go and find out if anyone is selling watermelons in town? Rahul instantly left and on his return he reported to the manager, sir, there's only one person selling watermelons in the whole town. The cost is rupees 49 per watermelon and rupees 32 and 50 paise for half a melon. He sells them at rupees 13 and 50 paise per kg when sliced. He has 93 melons in stock. Each one weighs about 7 kgs. His farm can supply us with melons for the next 4 months at a rate of 102 melons per day at 27 rupees per melon, inclusive of delivery charges. The melons are excellent in quality, appear fresh and red, and taste way better than the ones we sold last year. He also owns a slicing machine and is willing to slice for us free of charge. We need to strike a deal with him before 10 a.m. tomorrow. If we do make this deal, we'll surely beat last year's profits in melons by rupees 223, contributing positively to our overall performance, as it will add a minimum of 3.78% to our current overall sales target. I have put all this information down in writing and is available on a spreadsheet. Please let me know if you need it, as I can send it to you in 15 minutes. Jiten was dumbfounded, impressed by Rahul's smartness and inspired by his commitment. He realized the difference between himself and Rahul. He decided not to resign, but to learn from Rahul. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not what we do, but how we do that makes us different and stand out from others. It's not about doing things, but about going the extra mile that brings us the reward. It's not merely hard work, but smart work that gets us there. It's not about looking at others, but about looking at oneself that brings us excellence. Next time you find someone else doing better than you, don't complain. Put your act together. Do your homework thoroughly. Walk the extra mile. And then maybe fast or slow, success will surely be yours.
Rule number 6, be humble.
They say pride cometh before the fall. You can make things as big, you can be as successful, as ambitious. But when there is pride, God knows how to crush that pride to powder. You know, I have been a speaker for years now, and sometimes I give talks and people are like sitting and hearing, and most times people come and say, "Babuji, kya lecture tha? Maza aa gaya, Babuji, maza aa gaya. Kya sunaya aapne?" Bola, kya samjha? Wo joke acha tha, Babuji. This is what I gave the talk for. But there was one man came up to me and said to me, "I hate your lecture." So the first time, मैं तो सोच रहा था मैं एकदम फर्स्ट क्लास सब करके जो बोला, "I hate your lectures." So I asked him, "You hate me?" He said, "सोचना पड़ेगा." I said, "Look at this guy." I was so humbled. I went to my college of engineering, Pune. He was from there. He was one of the alumni, so was I. So there was an alumni program. I was invited as a keynote speaker. I went for the speech. I was all prepared for what to say. All my notes were there. My mind was prepared. My words were there. I had already visualized myself standing at the dais speaking. How the students would. All was visualization was done. So it was peanuts. I've been doing it all my life. I'll tell you something. That day, this guy was sitting at the back, way back in the program, and he was standing up and hearing my talk. And just 2-3 weeks back, he had told me, "I hate your lectures." I'll tell you, it happened several times, but this time, the fiasco that I did in my lecture, you cannot imagine. Everything was here. I knew everything. My lecture notes were all there. I just couldn't speak. Spoke something, of course students didn't detect. After 15-18 years of speaking, कुछ भी बोला तो उनको तो कुछ था, अच्छा था. But for me, I knew I wasn't together. It was a big failure. When I came back to Pune, on my return in the car, 2 students, alumni were with me, talking to them what could have been the reason for this mess up in the farm. Many reasons. But one reason was pride. Pride, It's no problem doing big things, ambitious things, successful, titanic success. But when there is pride, that success is a failure. With pride, success is a failure. And with humility, an apparent failure is a success because you can come out of that failure.
Rule number 7, don't forget the good.
There was a king who had a pack of 10 wild dogs. He used them to punish all those ministers who committed blunders. One day, one of his ministers made a mistake. The king was furious and passed an order that the minister be thrown to the dogs. Desperate to save his life, the minister pleaded, "Your Majesty, I faithfully served you for 10 years, and in return, is this what you would do to me? But if that's what you want, fine. You may throw me to the dogs, but before doing so, can you please do me a small favor? For 10 years of my service, may I request you to kindly grant me just 10 more days before the dogs tear me off to pieces." The king agreed to the minister's proposal. The minister then approached the guard who was in charge of caring for the dogs and requested that the guard allow him to look after them for the next 10 days. Unaware of the king's order, the guard was a little surprised. Why would a minister want to do this? But being delighted that he would get a break, the guard agreed. The minister had experience of caring for wild animals from before he had joined the king. And so, for the next 10 days, he served the dogs with great love and attention, feeding them, bathing them, cleaning for them, and making them feel very comfortable. After the 10 days were over, the king ordered that the minister be now thrown to the dogs. When it was done, to the king's and everyone else's amazement, the dogs started licking the feet of the minister. Being baffled by what was happening, the king asked, "What has happened to these dogs? Why don't they attack and kill this minister?" Before anyone could say a word, the minister instantly replied to the king, "Your Highness, I served the dogs only for 10 days, and even in such a short term of service, they did not forget what I did for them. Yet, I served you for 10 years, and you very conveniently and easily forgot all that I did for you just because of one mistake that I made in all these years." The king felt ashamed of himself, and having learnt a vital lesson in personal dealings, ordered for the minister to be freed and accepted him back in his service. Isn't it a fact that as soon as there is a provocation or a mistake made or a troubling situation that comes up, we very quickly forget all the good that others have or the good that others have done for us? Gratitude is firstly about a sharp memory of all the kindness, service, and good that we have received. It is then about action, reciprocation, showing our goodness by letting go of the one-off blunders that may happen, and to positively continue our relationship with others. Let us not wipe off the good that others have done unto us because of small mistakes, situations, or incidents.
Rule number 8, free yourself from what ifs.
It can be fun to, once in a while, revisit your childhood days and relive them. One day I happened to see a remote-controlled helicopter someone had and decided to give it a try. Having lost practice of using a joystick, it was a little hard in the beginning, but in a few attempts, I thought I was becoming a pro in flying it. It was then that I remembered how a friend of mine from London had taken me for a ride on his private plane. As we were taking off, I recollect sharing an inspiring quote with my friends on that flight. I had said, "When everything seems to be going against you, remember that the airplane takes off against the wind, not with it." Well, the tiny Cessna we were flying in definitely gave us a real-time experience of that quote, as it was super wobbly during takeoff. but we had a very smooth landing. Don't they say? All is well that ends well. Recently, I decided to try a real adventure. One in which you take off in a plane but don't land in it. Skydiving. The night before, I'm lying in bed, visualizing myself jumping off the plane, thinking, what if the parachute doesn't open? What if it opens but malfunctions when we are in the air? What if I have a free fall straight on the ground? Ladies and gentlemen, do you know what's stopping us from taking the plunge? Do you know what's stopping us from growth? 2 words. What if? What if I fail? What if I lose? What if people mock me? What if he or she says no? What if life will pass away and our minds will stop us from realizing our truest and fullest potential? That night, I decided to confront my what if and shut my mind up. I asked myself, do you want the experience of jumping off a plane? Yes, came the answer from within. Then no what ifs. Whatever happens, be ready for it, I said to my mind. To make sure it was not an uncalculated risk, I decided to evaluate the risk factor. When I checked the statistics of skydiving casualties on Google, it was 13 fatalities in 3.3 million skydives last year, way less than the car accidents that took place last year. But what if I happened to be one amongst the 13? My mind protested again. Then lie down here in bed, snoring and being a couch potato, missing the exhilarating experience in your life, I told my mind. As I drifted away into sleep, crossing the crippling boundary of what ifs, I remember telling myself, look darling, your skydiving support tomorrow is an expert. He has had several years of experience with thousands of skydives and not a single casualty was recorded. Relax, take it easy. The next day, as the doors of the plane opened at 18,000 feet above ground level, I was ready, telling myself, I want to do it, I can do it, I will do it. I remember standing at the edge of the plane door, now fearlessly looking down, and then we jumped. That free fall was the most liberating experience of my life. Liberation from the two paralyzing words, what if? As we floated in the air, feeling light like never before, the parachute opened, and I thought to myself, today the parachute has opened and so has my mind. Open your minds. Face those things that are holding you back. Cross the limiting boundaries of your what ifs. Believe me, an amazing life waits ahead on the other side of what ifs.
Rule number 9, do yoga.
Yoga is an incredible science that helps us transform our physical fitness, which is what it's largely known for today. But beyond even physical fitness, it's that science which can help us enhance our mental wellness. But I think even beyond mental wellness, yoga is a science that facilitates the deepening of our spiritual awakening. But to be honest, more than physical fitness, more than mental wellness, more than a spiritual awakening, yoga is a tradition, a culture, a set of values, a set of beliefs that can truly help us deal with much larger issues in the world than fitness. May it be climate change, or may it be issues that are being tackled by the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. poverty, hunger, gender equality, education, life on land, life underwater, whatever these sustainable goals may be, yoga has a solution, a proposed solution to deal with these larger problems and challenges that the entire world confronts today. I know that as soon as we hear the word yoga as a solution for global issues, we are skeptical. How can a system of exercise, how can a system of breathing be a solution to global issues and problems? Which is why I very strongly and firmly believe that we have to start thinking about yoga as more than exercise. We have to start thinking about yoga as dimensions which has the tenets to offer us solutions to our global problems.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is learn to share.
Israel has two famous lakes, the Dead Sea and the Sea of Galilee. The Dead Sea is a lake with very high salt content, as high as 35%, which is almost 10 times the normal ocean water. Such a high level of salinity not only means that a human body can float on the surface of the water, but also that there is no life at all in this lake. No fish, no vegetation, no sea animals. Nothing lives in this lake, and that's how it gets its name, the Dead Sea. Just to the north of the Dead Sea is the Sea of Galilee. Yet, completely unlike the Dead Sea, the Sea of Galilee is pretty, resplendent with abundant, colorful marine life, lots of plants, lots of fish. In fact, the Sea of Galilee is home to over 20 different types of fishes. And guess what? Both the lakes are in the same region and both receive water from the very same source, the River Jordan. Yet, while one is full of life, the other is dead. The question obviously is, how? Not sure how technically correct this is, but some say the reason is because the River Jordan flows into the Sea of Galilee and then flows out. The water simply passes through the Sea of Galilee, in and then out. And that keeps the lake healthy and vibrant, teeming with marine life. But the Dead Sea, being far below the mean sea level, has no outlet. The water flows in from the River Jordan, but does not flow out. And since there are no outlet streams, it is estimated that over 1 million tons of water evaporate from the Dead Sea every day, leaving it salty and too full of minerals and thus unfit for any marine life. Isn't life very similar? Like the two lakes receive water from the River Jordan, we may also be fortunate enough to receive resources, knowledge, love, respect from others. But if we do not learn to share what we have received, we may end up like the Dead Sea. The love, the respect, the resources, the knowledge could all evaporate. But if, like the Sea of Galilee, we share what we have, we will be full of life and joy, ready to receive more and share more and live in a space of abundance.
Now I have a special bonus clip from Gaur Gopal Das on how to never give up that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the 3-point landing questions. Let's go from just watching a video to taking action. Here we go. Question number 1. Where do you need to take charge of your mind? Number 2. How will you better choose your surroundings this week? And number 3. Who do you need to accept for their good side? And if you made it this far in the video, I want to celebrate you too. Give me a #believe down in the comments as well.
Have you ever felt like you wanted to give up because things are not going at your expected pace? Have you ever felt like leaving what you're doing because you see no growth? Have you ever felt like ending it all because of failures you have experienced on your path? Well, whenever you feel low, depressed, and overwhelmed with negative emotions because of the ups and downs that inevitably come in life, whenever you feel like you want to quit, whenever you are just not able to see a reason to continue living, do remind yourself
of a simple yet profound analogy. It's been one of my favorites from the very first time I heard it. A man planted fern and bamboo seeds and cared for them really well. He made sure that they both got adequate light and water. The man was delighted to see the fern quickly spring out from the earth and grow really fast, covering its entire surrounding with its bright green color. But he was disappointed when he saw nothing come out from the bamboo seed. But the man did not give up on the bamboo. In the second year, he saw that the growth of the fern was luxuriant, vibrant, and abundant. And the bamboo seed? Nothing came out still. But the man continued caring for the bamboo and did not quit. In the third year, there was still nothing from the bamboo seed, and the man still would not give up. In the fourth year, once again, he saw nothing come from the bamboo seed, but the man persevered and still would not quit. It was in the fifth year that the man saw a tiny sprout emerge from the earth. The bamboo sprout was tiny and insignificant compared to the fern. But in just 6 months from then, the bamboo shot up to over 100 feet tall. The man realized that the bamboo had spent those 5 years growing its roots. It was those roots that made it strong and gave it all what it needed to survive, thrive, and grow. Isn't it true that life does not give anyone a challenge that they cannot handle? If there's a challenge that you're facing at the moment, know for sure that you have the capacity to handle it. Were you aware that all the time you have spent dealing with your challenges and struggles, you've actually been growing roots? Just as the man did not give up on the bamboo, don't give up on yourself. Never quit. Don't compare yourself to others. The bamboo and the fern are so different, yet both make the forest beautiful, each one serving a different purpose. Relax. Your time will come. You will shoot up and rise high as well. Go as high as you can, as high as your potential, not someone else's potential. Be patient and keep working on yourself, and one day you will shoot up like the bamboo tree too. Remember that London is 5 hours ahead of New York, but that doesn't make New York slow or London fast. Everything in life happens at the right time. Be patient, and the right time will come for you as well. Don't hurry and don't worry. You're neither early nor are you too late. You're just on time.
If you want 10 more rules for success from Warren Buffett, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.